In the late 1980s, the north of England was a psychological pressure cooker. Following the deindustrialization of the Thatcher era, cities like Manchester, Sheffield and Blackburn were grappling with what psychologists are now calling anomie, a breakdown of social bonds and a sense of futility. But while the establishment saw decay, a generation was undergoing a silent neurological shift. This was Gen X. This last generation to have an analog childhood was about to become the first to ride a digital wave. They didn't just accept the technology, right? They used it to perform a collective act of cognitive reappraisal. They took the cold, grey husk of an industrial past and then wired them for a neon future. The revolution started in bedrooms with the Akai sampler, I don't know if you remember, and the Atari ST. To understand why this music hit so hard, we have to look at the psychology of flow. Research by, now I'm not even going to try and pronounce this guy's name, I'll put it on screen right now, suggests that the highest state of human satisfaction occurs when our skills are perfectly matched to a challenge, right? So Gen X producers were the ultimate Techno Riders, completely unknown territory. They were hyper-adapters, right? Forced to learn complex MIDI language and hexadecimal code just to hear a 3-second loop, right? By sampling old soul records and chopping them into breakbeats, they were practicing divergent thinking. Now, of course, they were not sat there thinking, I am here practicing divergent thinking. No, they were, the kids on the street, they were just, wow, I can make this sound do this and that sound do that. Basically, taking a singular object and finding infinite uses for it. They were not just making songs, they were hacking their own dopamine systems, creating rhythmic precision that the human brain never experienced before. When these sounds moved from the bedroom to the warehouse, something profound happened. The thinkers now, the sociologists, are calling this collective effervescence, right? It's a phenomenon where the group achieved a unified mental state, blurring the lines between the self and the other. In the North, where the establishment promoted rugged individualism, the rave was a psychological rebellion. Scientific studies on rhythmic entrapment, right, to get really into it, showed that when humans dance to a steady beat, specifically around 120 to 140 BPM, our heart rates and brain waves auto-synchronize. For Gen X, this wasn't just a party. It was a neurobiological protest against the isolation of the era. They were using digital tools to reclaim some sort of a primal tribal connection. Well, this shift terrified the establishment. The Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994 famously attempted to ban music characterized by the emission of a succession of repetitive beats. Can you believe that? Psychologically, this was a classic case of intergenerational conflict fueled by technophobia. The older generation feared the loss of control that the digital frontier presented. They just saw and heard mindless noise, right? While Gen X saw a new language. This was the moment the riders, the Techno Riders, the Gen X realized the technology belonged to them, not the state. By mastering the tools of the future, the silicon and the software, GenX effectively outcoded the old world. They proved that the human spirit doesn't just survive digital change, it creates and thrives in it. So why does this matter today? Why am I making this video about GenX, Techno Riders, specifically around the Rave era? It's because GenX holds this unique psychological superpower that I feel needs saying, it needs bringing to light. You know, you are the bridge generation. And when I'm saying you at this point, I'm meaning you, the Gen X listener here today who grew up in that era. But also you, if you are not born in that generation, but you are still creating or in the technical space of the digital space and developing something, creating something new, you sort of have those Gen X seeds, right? So you are the bridge generation. You possess the analog intuition of the physical world and the digital fluency of a virtual one. The resilience you built in those warehouses, the ability to find a community in a lost industrial town is a blueprint for surviving all the changes that we face, the AI revolution even that we face right now. Because we weren't just raving. We were like unknowing to ourselves, training our brains for a world that didn't exist yet. You rode the wave, the first wave of the digital storm. And you did it with a smile and a beat and a big box and a little box. As we move into an even more uncertain technological future, remember, you've navigated the transition before. You are the original Techno Rider. And the code you wrote in your youth, the way that you wired yourself in your youth, it's still running today.